Welcome to the Project Management Multiple Choice Questions video focused on Cost Management, Part 4. This content is aligned with the PMBOK 7th edition. Question 61. A project shows CPI of 0.88, SPI of 1.04, and TCPI BAC of 1.25. The sponsor seeks assurance the original budget at completion, or BAC, is achievable. What is the most realistic response? The most realistic response is no. Required future efficiency exceeds historical performance. A TCPI of 1.25 means a future cost performance index of 1.25 is needed to meet the original budget, which is much higher than the current CPI of 0.88. Question 62. A multi-year program uses rolling wave planning. Early cost forecasts show a wide estimate at completion, or EAC, variance. What is the best interpretation? The best interpretation is that the, quote, forecast is unreliable due to progressive elaboration. Early in a program, progressive elaboration means less detail is available, leading to wider forecast variance. Question 63. A cost overrun occurs due to accelerated schedule compression. What is the primary governance failure? The primary governance failure is the, quote, lack of integrated change evaluation. Scheduled changes, like compression, must be evaluated for their cost impact through integrated change control. Question 64. The EAC calculated using CPI times SPI results in an extreme overrun. The sponsor argues SPI is temporary. What is the best action? The best action is to, quote, perform scenario-based sensitivity analysis. This approach allows for testing different assumptions, such as improving SPI, to see how they impact the forecast. Question 65. A fixed price incentive fee, or FPIF, contract exceeds the target cost but stays below the ceiling. Cost responsibility primarily lies with shared per share ratio. In an FPIF contract, costs between the target and the ceiling are shared between the buyer and seller based on a predetermined ratio. Question 66. At 80% completion, the cumulative CPI is 0.72, but the recent CPI is 0.98. What is the forecast impact? The forecast impact is that trend improvement must be validated before revising EAC. A brief recent improvement may not overcome a large cumulative deficit, requiring trend validation. Question 67. A portfolio-level cost reallocation reduces one project's BAC mid-execution. What is the immediate effect? The immediate effect is that the TCPI is recalculated. Changing the BAC changes the remaining work component of the TCPI calculation. Question 68. Monte Carlo indicates a 90% probability of meeting cost, but a 50% probability of meeting the schedule. What is the strategic risk? The strategic risk is schedule delay causing secondary cost growth. The low probability of meeting the schedule increases the risk of delays, leading to further cost escalation. Question 69. Management requests the exclusion of contingency usage from actual cost, or AC, to improve CPI. What is the ethical response? The ethical response is to decline and report actual cost transparently. Manipulating reported costs violates project management ethics and integrity principles. Question 70. A project with a negative cost variance, or CV, but a strong future TCPI EAC based below 1.0 suggests what? This suggests a, quote, future performance target is moderate. A TCPI EAC based below 1.0 means future work requires less than $1 of actual cost for every dollar earned to meet the revised estimate at completion. Question 71. An agile team increases velocity, but backlog reprioritization changes cost distribution. What is the governance concern? The governance concern is cost baseline traceability. Frequent changes in priority and scope distribution make it harder to trace actual costs back to the original baseline. Question 72. A severe risk event increases AC, but earned value, or EV, remains unchanged. What is the metric impact? The metric impact is that CPI decreases sharply. Since CPI is EV divided by AC, an increase in AC while EV stays the same will cause the CPI to drop significantly. Question 73. If BAC is reduced after a scope cut, but estimate to complete or etc. is unchanged, what risk arises? The risk that arises is Forecast inconsistency. If the scope is cut, the BAC should decrease, and the etc., representing the cost of remaining work, should also logically decrease unless the remaining work's cost increase substantially. Question 74. In a cost plus award fee contract, cost control is primarily incentivized through what? Cost control is primarily incentivized through, quote, performance-based evaluation. The award fee is based on the subjective evaluation of contractor performance, including cost control efforts. Question 75. A project finishes early, but the EAC significantly exceeds the BAC. What is the likely cause? The likely cause is aggressive crashing increased cost. Finishing early often results from crashing, which accelerates the schedule but involves significant additional costs. Question 76. Earned value trending is stable, but Monte Carlo cost simulation is widening. What is the interpretation? The interpretation is deterministic model masking variability. Earned value is a deterministic forecast, while Monte Carlo provides a probabilistic range, revealing underlying uncertainty that the EV trend hides. Question 77. A project uses management reserve to meet an aggressive investor forecast. What is the long-term impact? The long-term impact is, quote, governance credibility erosion. Using the management reserve to simply meet an aggressive forecast rather than address known risks erodes trust in governance. Question 78. If EAC decreases despite worsening CPI, what is the most probable reason? The most probable reason is incorrect formula selection. A worsening CPI, meaning less earned value per actual cost, should typically lead to an increased EAC, not a decrease. Question 79. When combining schedule delay with an inflation escalation clause, what is the primary cost threat? The primary cost threat is, quote, secondary cost compounding. The schedule delay extends the project duration, increasing the period over which the inflation clause will impact costs, compounding the initial cost threat. Question 80. A project's TCPI BAC is significantly higher than TCPI EAC. What does this indicate? This indicates that the original BAC was unrealistic. TCPI BAC uses the original budget, while TCPI EAC uses the current, more realistic forecast. A large difference means the original budget was likely too optimistic. Thank you for watching Cost Management Part 4. Comment your score out of 20 below, like the video, and subscribe for Part 5, where we will push cost control to its absolute limit.